Big changes are coming for landlords in Nevada starting October 1st, 2025. New state laws, AB 121, SB 114, and SB 381 reshape how rents, fees, utilities, repairs, and even key management must be handled. In this video, I'll break down exactly what these laws mean for property owners and managers, what you can and can't charge tenants, and the new compliance steps you need to put in place to stay protected. Okay, let's take a look at the Nevada Landlord-Tenant law changes in October 2025. Here's what actually takes effect in Nevada on October 1st that impacts residential landlord-tenant operations. Single-figure rent plus junk fee rules, AB 121. Advertise and draft rent as one number. Every place you state rent must show a single figure that includes all mandatory monthly fees added to the base rent. You may not charge more than that single figure. So for example, if you have properties where you have to add utility fees, pet rent or pet fees, resident benefit packages, you have to add those all up and advertise it as rent. It's unfair, I think, to properties that have to add the utility fees in particular in there, where other ones that are similar do not, because tenants tend to gravitate when they're looking for properties towards the less expensive rent. They can even search according to some rent amounts. So I think that some properties are going to be disadvantaged. Utility pass-through carve-out. If the utility cannot bill the tenant directly, which is like the utility companies cannot send the tenant a bill directly, or the unit is on a master metered water system, you may charge a monthly fee equal to the actual bill, but only if the lease flags the single figure with an asterisk. That needs to be included on the front page, the disclosure. I highlighted everywhere on this page here where they refer to a lease. These places are going to require changes in the lease to meet these laws that take effect on October 1st. So be aware of that. Make sure your leases conform. The third one is at least one no fee, no bank info payment method. You must offer one way to pay rent or fees that does not require a fee to use and does not require bank account information, which personal checks are fine even though they have bank account information on there. They allow those to be used. But if you pay online, you're going to pay an online fee. But if you bring your check into our office, you don't have to pay an additional fee to pay with a check. So that qualifies. Portal fee cap and disclosure. If you allow online payments, any portal fee you charge cannot exceed the portal's provider's fee and must be separately identified in the lease. So, number one, if the tenant pays online, it's okay if the online provider charges a fee, but the property manager or the landlord cannot charge an additional fee to facilitate the ability to pay online. And whatever the fee is that the provider charges needs to be notated in the lease. Pre-lease transparency and app fee refunds. On request, you must give prospects a copy of the rental agreement. So if a tenant comes in and wants to talk to you about renting a property and they ask to provide a copy of the rental agreement, you must be able to do that. I know that we've always provided tenants with a copy of the lease before we allowed them to sign a lease. Here at Freedom House Property Management, we have a lease rental agreement available at any time, but once they put in an application, they automatically get sent a copy of the lease so they can review it, understand what things are on the lease so that they're prepared when it comes time for them to sign the lease. If you collect an application credit background fee, but rent to someone else and didn't run the background check for that tenant, you must refund the fee. There's a lot of property management companies that start requiring people to pay for application fees pretty much as soon as they walk into their office to look at properties. The best practice we use here at Freedom House Property Management is tenants has to look at the property first before they do an application. We certainly won't rent to them without having the tenant look at the property. Once the tenant looks at the property, they can submit an application. We don't charge a fee until we match that tenant with the property and there's no one else working with an application on the property. And we also look at the application. We give it a brief look over to make sure they qualify so we can move on to the next step. If they don't qualify, there's no sense in charging an application fee. Then courts must award damages, and they can be a minimum of $250. So this gets very expensive. Make sure that you are following these laws and rules. And probably one good reason to use a property management company, so you're always in compliance. And that's another reason that we do not extend leases. We create a situation where you have to sign a new lease each and every year to make sure that everything's compliant with all the new laws and rules and regulations that seem to come down every year. Now, this is not retroactive, which means these rules apply to leases entered into or renewed on or after October 1st. SB 114 talks about large site key control and employee background checks. This is for land that has over 50 units on it or over 30 units in smaller counties. So in Clark and Washoe County, it's over 50 units, and in all other counties, including Nye County, it's over 30 units, where you're going to have written policies for key control and run background checks on the team members who handle the keys. Land use change that can affect supply, not lease terms. AB 241, cities and counties must adopt by right approval for multifamily or mixed use with residential on commercial zone parcels by March 1st, 2026. Effective October 1st, 2025 compliance deadline later. This won't change existing leases but may impact development pipeline and comps. This doesn't affect anything that we're doing at Freedom House Property Management. What did not become law is as important as what did, because this scenario is probably going to pop back time and time again. And that is, they're trying to eliminate summary evictions. There's two kinds of evictions here in the state of Nevada. There's the summary eviction and the formal eviction. Formal evictions require attorneys. Summary evictions are for simple, everyday evictions where you give a tenant who doesn't pay the rent a 7-day notice to pay the rent or vacate the property. It's called pay or quit. And if they don't vacate the property, then you take a 24-hour to the courts and get an eviction, or they can go to court if they have a reason why they think they shouldn't be evicted. And then there's another common one is a 30-day no cause, which gives a tenant at the end of their lease usually 30 days to vacate the property because the landlord wants to reclaim the property for maybe they want to live in it, maybe they want to rehab it, maybe they just want to move on to a different tenant because the tenant wasn't easy to work with for whatever reason. The thing that's going to happen is if they get rid of summary evictions, it's going to require attorneys, which is going to cost a lot more money for these simple processes. Very unnecessary. The only people I can think of that this law benefits is attorneys, who are going to make more money as a result. If you don't like these kind of forced issues, then you need to do your homework when you're voting. Make sure you vote, number one, and vote for candidates who you know are going to be more landlord friendly than tenant friendly. The courts have been very tenant friendly for the last several years. Being tenant friendly is good, but when you create laws that chase away landlords and create scenarios where landlords are selling their properties and there's not as much of a selection for tenants, rents are artificially going to go up because of the supply and demand. I guess it's not artificial, it's just fact. The less amount of properties available, the higher the rents are going to be. Let's try to balance these tenant-landlord laws. Right now, we need to update all advertising materials, update all ads, offer letters, rent, quotes, and leases to show one monthly number, including mandatory fees. Add the utility asterisk language to the lease when using the pass-through carve-outs. We need to configure our portal settings. Here at Freedom House Property Management, we use Buildium, so any tenant-paid portal fee equals provider cost and is itemized on the lease. Offer a no-fee payment option. Number 2, revise application workflow. No fees for minors. Refund unused application fees when you lease to someone else. Provide lease copies upon request. And then number 3, implement security measures for large sites, which doesn't pertain to most of what we do here. If you want more information about any of this, you can go to the AB 121, SB 114, AB 241, and AB 283, which was vetoed, but you need to become familiar with what that is because it'll keep popping up, I guarantee you. So you can probably easily Google any one of these things today. My purpose was, number one, make you aware of it and make you aware that it's starting on October 1st, 2025, and then try to give you a little bit of detail what they're about and let you know that most property management companies, certainly Freedom House Property Management, is on top of this. Las Vegas Realtors Association is busy redoing the leases to conform with these new laws and regulations. I met with the National Association of Real Property Managers convention in Las Vegas, the Nevada chapter, where we had local attorney and a local judge there to talk about these new laws. And even they were unsure or unwilling to state specifically what this means for specific circumstances. If you have any questions, call us here at Freedom House Property Management at 775-727-4444. Are you tired of keeping up with Nevada's ever-changing landlord-tenant laws and managing your properties on your own? Let Freedom House Property Management take the stress off your shoulders. Call us today at 775-727-4444, and we'll be glad to discuss how we can manage your properties for you.